And welcome back to Zanpakuto Creation Series. Good old faithful right here. I enjoy doing of the unique, let's call them unique, of the non-staple channel series, the non-who would wins, the non-what ifs. Among them, the Zanpakuto is one of my favorite ones. Is also one of the trickiest ones to do, just because with the Digimon partner, that's not that difficult. With the Pokemon one might be my favorite, but this would probably be a close second. But the Digimon one, that actually might be my least favorite to do, just because it's more difficult than even this to figure out with the Digimon what kind of works. The Pokemon one might be my favorite. The quirk one is fun to do. I like doing the quirk one. This one, because I like Bleach so much, this is definitely one of my more preferred ones of the four. It is also probably, though, the most difficult because Zanpakuto can get so complex. So let's just get into it. This one came to us from Death by Stupidity, who asked another Ninjago one. And I've said my piece on what I think of Ninjago. It's just not my cup of tea, but doesn't mean I still won't honor the people who like it. Wail, a ghost ninja from Ninjago. Now, apparently, the ghost ninja are like a general group, so it's very difficult to figure out which one of them is Wail and which one isn't. But we will do our best. And so, Wail, the little I could find is he enjoys striking the shadows. He doesn't have much of a personality beyond that, but standard bad guy stuff. But I think I figured out a relatively simple but effective one for a character like this. So, it's a melee type Zanpakuto, in my opinion. Standard katana. Its release is /clean. Its name is Itachi, or Weasel. Its Bankai is instant kill Weasel Claw, or Sokushi Itachi Kiri. Now, in this spirit, obviously, is a weasel. A pretty large, you know what, this actually could be one of those things like Suzume Bachi, where it's just a small weasel, maybe with sickles attached to it, whatever. And I say sickles because the Shikai takes the form of a double-bladed scythe. One blade pointing one way, the other blade pointing the other way. But its ability is more akin to a Kusagari. It's more akin to something like a Kaku's, where, and I got the idea when I saw him use these in this image right here. Dual-bladed Zanpakuto, this is not. This is something closer to, honestly, this is something closer to a combination of Hozuki Maru, which is a 3-section split staff connected by a chain, and Kazeshini, which is 2 sickles attached to a chain. It's a combination of those two, where it starts off as a dual-wielded scythe, can be used as a scythe, but it splits. There's a chain in there which extends out to a certain degree. He can throw it similar to Kazeshini, but it's still ultimately a melee weapon. It doesn't really have an ability beyond that. Furthermore, it cannot go as far as Kazeshini can. It just can't. I had to differentiate from Kazeshini from this because really there wouldn't be much difference between Kazeshini and this in terms of what they do and how they look. Well, not too much. Kazeshini's got of all the Lieutenant Shikais, when you think of a Zanpakuto Shikai, Renji's, Zalimaru, that's a sword. Kazeshini, that is a great looking blade as well, though. I love Kazeshini. If you were to give me some live action Zanpakuto, I only own 2 live action Zanpakuto. Well, Zanpakuto in real life. I own Tensa Sangetsu, which I picked up at a con one time, many years ago. And I own Benihime, which I got for Christmas. If you were to ask me, name 2 other swords that either in Shikai or however you get them, that you would like to own, Kazeshini would be right on the list. That and Katen Kyokatsui. I'd love those 2 scimitars. That'd be awesome. But anyway, so that would be it. It's just a melee type Zanpakuto, which now begs the question: what would the Bankai of this be? I look to Ikakus for this because, and I've always said this, all Zanpakuto have something to them. They're not just a sword. There is something to them in their Shikai. Even Kenpachi's, which is technically doesn't have an ability, is just pure power. And in his hands, it can cut through just about anything. So that is still something the sword carries with it. Ikaku's. You'd say is a spear, naginata, but it's a three-section staff that splits and deviates, and it can be used for multiple purposes in combat, which goes towards that on-the-fly fighting style that Ikaku has. So all Zanpakuto have something to them. Granted, his Bankai doesn't really have an ability per se. It's just, again, a big power tool. I would liken this more to something less like something akin to Ikaku's, but a little bit more, a little bit something else to it. So in Bankai, it would take the form of a much larger scythe. It's just a much larger version of it. The blades might be more ornate. The handle might fit on over their shoulders, maybe even like bends a little bit, but doesn't break. And it's maybe like 3 times as long. The blades are twice as long, so maybe the blades are as tall as he is now, or even taller. And it's, again, you'd think it's just a big F off. Actually, I just realized what we can do here. Instead of I'm changing on the fly here, but I think this works better. Instead of the staff in Bankai, it's the staff now elongates and turns into a chain that is wrapped around the user. An extremely long chain, almost like a ammo belt around a sash, almost like an ammo belt around your sash. For everyone who's just heard my Elmo voice now, which is, I actually do a pretty good Elmo. But anyway, I digress. No, like an ammo belt around your chest, and basically now the chains can kind of now get more of the range like Kazushine can get. You can swing them. You still got these grips, these handles you have for these giant massive chains that you can use for melee combat. But now it's got these massive chains that you can swing around. But the Bankai, I think, does have maybe one ability. And that is if you're swinging the blade from the chain and swing it down, the chain stays put, but the blade suddenly disappears and reappears right at the opponent, right in front of them. Now, it's not an instant thing. It can't appear like right at their neck. It's like maybe a foot in front of them, so they still have reaction time to like block it. But for a ninja, ghost assassin kind of guy, that I think makes for a effective type of Zanpakuto, where it's similar in concept to what I did. What was it? Was it Eyeless Jack or Tiki Toby? One of the creepypasta guys, where basically I had his Zanpakuto in essence disappear and then reappear where he wanted it to, but it was more that he had to stab the ground and the blade just reappeared where he wanted it. Here, no, this is basically you swing the chain down. You gotta swing it fast too. That's the other thing. It's not just a casual swing. It's a it's gotta be like I'm gonna take your head off swing coming down, and then the blade would disappear and then suddenly reappear in front of you or from behind, depending on the motion you're using. If the scythe is behind the opponent and you suddenly jerk it as hard as you can forward, they might try to block it, and all of a sudden it just reappears in front of them at close range. They have to block. That could make this a very fun, slightly unpredictable Zanpakuto. Now, granted, anyone who's fast enough and clever enough could figure the Zanpakuto out. This is not the most infallible Zanpakuto in the world, but I think it's a Zanpakuto that works well for a character like this. Now, weaknesses. The Shikai only has maybe a little bit of a mid-range. It's not even Kazushine levels of range to its attacks. It also has no Keto-based abilities. So against Keto types, it will definitely struggle. Against elemental types, it might not be. Depending on the Keto ability and the elemental type. For instance, against Momo, Utoma Yume's fireballs, slice the fireball in half. As long as you got more Ryatsu, you're good. Against Hyorimoro, you could cut some of the ice, but you're just going to be overwhelmed by ice. Katen Kyokatsui, you're screwed on that. There might be a couple of the games you could, in theory, win over, but no, you're screwed against that. Kenpachi, Nozarashi, again, if even on equal ground, that Nozarashi is still the superior blade, technically. Because the sides aren't power tools. They're slashing, they're cutting, they're damaging, but they're not power weapons. Nozarashi's is a monster of a weapon. So there's that. Again, Ryatsu the Ryatsu. Beyond that, though, the Bankai, I think, if we're going to talk about a weakness, that chain actually could be a weakness. First off, if you know how to predict it, it can become predictable. But Beyond that, its chain could be a problem, because if the chain is cut, well, I'm not saying the Bankai is done, but that's damaging a Bankai. Beyond that, though, it doesn't have the stability that the handle of the scythe had in Shikai, because it's wrapped around. So you still have these two, like, maybe grips, maybe foot-long grips for these giant blades that are now as larger than you, if not as large, or as large as you, if not larger. But so you could definitely, whenever this person would learn their Bankai, they would have to learn how to fight with it, and they'd have to learn how to fight quick. One of the things they could definitely do is maybe reverse the grip on the sides and basically kind of use them as giant blade, like greaves on their arms. That's a way you could go about that. And then maybe flip them in your hand and come in for a stab, and then use the chain. So with training, this could be a very effective melee weapon. Very effective. But it's nowhere near like the strongest Zanpakuto I've ever created. Maybe at some point I'll do I've talked about creating a 13 court guard squad at some point with like the characters I've done. Problem is, like, I would love to keep them within the same series. So for example, you wouldn't see the Naruto 13 court guard squad until I eventually get through all of like the rookie 10 or rookie 12, 13, all that. Which I believe it's the rookie 13, right? Because Sai got included on that, which would actually be perfect because there's 13 captains. But anyway, I digress. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know the review of it at some point, and hit that bell if you want to be notified. I'll see you folks next time.